This video is about disassembling the rear or back seat door to a JK Jeep Wrangler. This is from a 2016, and I've seen a couple of videos that have some elements of how to do it, but not a complete rundown. So we're going to take this door apart and show you all the little screws and fasteners and things you deal with to get all the way apart, actually get the glass out and everything. I just have some rust I'm dealing with on my door that is right behind this seal here. Actually, I can show it to you because I have the door. That's my factory door. And I think that this rust here is all from the fact that my tires are quite a bit wider than my Jeep, and it sprays up onto the back door pretty bad. And I did rust proof this with some cavity wax when I first bought the Jeep, but I've only really done the bottom half, and that is rust free because of that. But I didn't consider that salt water would be running down the window seal and getting into this track and rotting this whole thing away. So this is actually a junkyard door from the same model year, I believe. It's within 1 year. I can't remember if it's a 15 or a 16, but this door is in really good shape. The only problem with this door is that the door lock mechanism is real sticky and doesn't unlock and lock reliably. So we're going to take my factory door panel and lock assembly and put it in this door. And this is a door that's going to stay with my Jeep. But I'm also going to take time to rust proof this one because this one has some rust already forming down here in the seam here where these pieces meet. So I'm going to get in here when I have it apart and spray the whole inside of this, including up by that window, with some fluid film. This is pretty good stuff. It will wash off potentially eventually, but being inside of a door, I think it'll last, until other parts of the truck start to rot away. So let's get to it. These are all the tools you'll need. A 1/4-inch driver of some kind, a T25 and a T27 Torx, 10mm socket, an extension is handy. I'm not sure you definitely need it. You'll need a Phillips screwdriver. There's only 2 Phillips screws in there. The straight blade is for getting the window out. You'll see that in a minute. Plastic door prying tool is pretty handy and pretty good to get all your panels to survive versus using a screwdriver. Just cuts down on the marring. Utility knife is just to access some holes for releasing the window. The door panel tool is just, you'll see how that some of the fasteners tend to stay in the door, and that helps you get them back out to reuse them. And then a flashlight so you can see where the screwdriver is supposed to go when you take the window out. This little decorative piece here, these bolts don't do anything. They don't go any place. I can show you what they look like. This is another piece I'm going to be swapping because it doesn't match the rest of my Jeep. This is the factory piece from my Jeep, but you can see that those bolts don't do anything. They're just decorative, and what holds it in are these little snapping components. So we can just take our plastic pry bar here and get this out. Underneath here are some Phillips head screws, just 2 of them. The next piece you have to take off is this little access panel here under the door handle. Here's one that's already out. It just snaps in. It's got some little tabs there that hold it. I think I broke this one off right here when I was taking this one off. So we're going to try and do it a little neater. Goes in oriented like that. I'm not sure where the best place to start is. I'm going to try, I think I'm going to try this side right here. See if that comes out nice. Well, this one's broke also. So maybe that's not so much broke, it's just something that they do in the molding process. That little piece there. Behind it, a couple Torx head screws. This is the plastic trim behind the door handle. That has to come off also. It has hooks that are on this end. So you want to start by prying up this end here. At this point, with all the screws, visible screws removed, we can just start prying at it. There are a series of pins that hold this in place. So here's a panel already taken off. You can see it just uses these fat plastic pins. I'm just going to pry it off the same way I did this one. It came out really nice to begin with, like I said, so I think that's just the way to do it. Once you have all the pins released, and this piece is pretty loose, it just pushes up because it gets this window gasket with it up here. So here's the back side of this. You can see, again, we lost several of these little pins. And this one actually did break the mounting foot for it. So I may throw some epoxy on that. But yeah, they are very vigorously attached. You have to pry really, really hard with your hands to pull these off. It's surprising how hard I have to pull to get them off. Actually doesn't quite feel right. But here's where this tool comes in handy, because now you can just pop these out. Hard to do while holding a camera. But they do survive that little journey. Here's where it gets a little funky from video to video. This plastic panel has these 10mm bolts that hold it all the way around. But you have to detach the window from it. The window regulator and track is attached to this piece of plastic. So you can't get it out when it's on the window. And I've seen some wacky videos where they talk about using a screwdriver to prop in from the top and try to pry away the window. Here is what the back of that plastic panel looks like. So it's actually upside down here. Let me flip it over. So this is the mechanism that carries the glass. And I have a piece of it right here. So this is the factory glass. And it sits in here like so. Now, you have to get to some tabs that interlock with this piece. You can see them. Because this is backwards, this isn't the part you see. You actually see this side of the glass. And there are these little plastic tabs right here that move. And if you push on those, you can pop this glass to pop out of that holder. And how you access them is through those oval holes right there. Those oval holes need to be cut out and will look like that. And then you can use a screwdriver, and right here, this is where those plastic tabs show up, which I'll show you in a second. And you can take a screwdriver and reach through these holes, push down the plastic tabs, and pop that glass out of that regulator bracket. So there's the access holes cut out. That's what the plug looks like. You know, it's just a little thinned out to make it slightly easier to cut. I dropped this one down inside the hole, but it's no big deal. When you get the panel off, you can easily pull that out. I'll get my flashlight here and see if we can see down in the hole there. So that is the plastic clip that we need to push on, the black part. The white part stays in the door on the panel, and the black bit stays on the glass. So I have all these 10mm bolts loosened up. Take them out. And this panel is retained in here by some adhesive. This little foam pad is sticky. So you'll need your pry bar to kind of get that loose. People had dogs, I can tell, because there's shed hair everywhere. So it's pretty sticky, but it comes up. You know, the gasket comes with the door panel, the plastic part. It doesn't stay with the metal. Anyways, once you get this whole thing loose, you can't take it out yet because it's attached to the locking mechanism here. Again, here's one that's already been taken out. You can see that it's included. You do not have to touch the door regulator, by the way. I've seen some videos where they talk about pulling the door regulator out. You don't have to. But this piece is clunky and attached. So we have to deal with that by taking out the screws on this side, which are just, I think, T27 Torx. And that's it. So now this panel is free to be removed. It does take some finagling though. One last thing to remove, these two cables, which is the door operator there, and the lock mechanism, which is what's a little funky on this one. But these cables just push down, and you can pry the plastic bit up, and then it pops out, like so. Once you have both cables detached from the actuators there, they pry up. I wish I had 3 hands to hold the camera while I do this, but you get the idea. There we go. They'll come loose completely. And you can push this entire piece. Will just slide forward, like so. And then you can take it off. And there you have it. So this door panel is a real trick to get off. The window track extends, you know, past the sheet metal underneath here, and also past the sheet metal underneath here. You can see it on this one. This is the top. So it almost goes to the height of the plastic. This is the bottom. It actually extends just slightly past the plastic. The best way to do it, because this is recessed here, it's very hard to push the panel up that way. All right, you have to pick it up so high to allow this to slide up that you're interfering with that metal already. There's a pin here that has to be raised high enough to allow this panel to move anyways. This is flat and doesn't have that recess that this has. So you can actually bend this a little bit with your hand. That allows you to get some clearance to actually push the track further down under the sheet metal and get clearance for this. So I'm going to pick this up high enough for this pin to come out of the hole, and then try to bend this plastic by pushing my thumb here a little bit and sliding the whole panel down first, and then that should allow this end to come up. Then I do have to be careful because this lock mechanism, again, will be dragging on the inside of the door skin, and we don't want to dent it or make a mark visible from the outside. All right, so after that struggle, the insert is out, or the door panel is out. I really had trouble. This is hanging up really badly on the button there to operate the door handle. I have no guidance for you. You just got to wiggle it and work it around until you can get it loose. The first door I did, it fell out. It had no trouble coming out. Just wiggle it and it came loose. This one I had to really finagle. Here's the glass. Oh, and here's that plug that I dropped in there the first time. There's also this rubber plug here. I took it out just now because I was having trouble getting the panel out. You don't need to. You don't need to take it out. It didn't do me any good. It doesn't seem to interfere with anything. So take it out if you want. Leave it in if you want. To get the glass out, you would pull this down, and then you can pull this weather stripping off. To get this weather stripping off, it's one piece with this little side window, and you have to get this 10mm bolt out. Now it comes out. Now with that weather stripping removed, the glass will just slide up. You can get this piece of plastic off of here. I'll show you the other one. So here is that same piece of plastic. There is a single pin right here. Okay, that pin is what holds the glass onto the piece of plastic. So you can simply pull up here and pop it off. And you have that out of your way. And that will allow the glass to just about fall off. Now, I'm going to take that weather stripping off right there and see what condition this door is compared to my existing one. This does grab on where these holes are to some degree. I'll show you the other one. So here is the removed one already. There are no real clips on it or anything. It just has that little hook profile, if it's going to focus for me. It does have a pin right there also. There's the pin. So I think if I can just get my finger in here and work that hook off, we can get this off. So I'm going to look at that. So here it is. Got it removed. This door is in pristine shape. Way nicer than my rust bucket. Has a little scratch here, which I think is just from production. Which is probably exactly how my door was made. Because that is exactly where my rust is. Where it is the worst. Let me show you my door. Is the exact same spot, would be right in here. So I think that's just a painting problem from the factory that maybe every door has. So I'm gonna goop this up with some type of rust inhibitor and slap it back on. And probably spray this from the inside as well to line this whole area with some fluid film. I'm also going to do the inside of the door down here where the condensation and rain leaks out. Rust proof that a little bit. The joys of living in Wisconsin. But that's it. I mean, besides pulling the weather stripping off and the door handle, everything else is off of this. All right, well, hope that helped. Good luck on yours.